Oh, Jesus. Mike. No one heard me sneeze into the mic. 100%. I hope no one heard that. No! God damn, I unmuted for like a second. I unmute for like freaking 1 second just to like have the RGB lights on so I can have to take my selfie. No. God freaking damn it. Every time. Every time. It really be like that. It really be like that with Luna, huh? I have a selfie of me like of me like mid-sneezing now.
of us and
Here.
look at me, sir.
What's the matter?
You remember that we once lived.
Feel.
Silence it! Silence our song of oblivion!
Think.
Such pleasures you seek for their own sake, and no other reason. Is this not so, adventurer?
Henceforth, we shall walk. At last, man has the strength to.
Wait, no, wrong thing. Hi. Hi, Luna is here. Welcome in. Happy Sunday, happy chill Sunday. Also, meowdy diddly. Thanks for hopping in. I'm very chill vibes today. Very much, chill vibes. Yeah. Yeah, welcome in. How's your Sunday, by the way? How's everyone's Sunday? Wait, is this another cosplay? No, this is me. No, I am not cosplaying. I am just casually, I guess. You like it though? It's a new top I bought. I bought it a while ago, but I didn't get the chance to like ever wear it out because I barely leave the house. Because you know I'm kind of a heathen and I'm always like at home. Too late. This is canon now. This is I'm cosplaying Luna the Bonbon. I'm cosplaying Luna the Bonbon human form number 2. This is my second human form. I'm glad you thought of it as a cosplay though. I didn't know. I was just wearing something casual today. But yes, welcome in. I went to see some flowers and rocks in a lake and got the flowers in a rock but not the lake. Oof. Oof. How can you get the rock and the flowers but not the lake, diddly? But was it a good view though? You got fun? Dang. Dang. I'm actually kind of excited. I know it's not happening today, but like, I'm just excited to like play Resident Evil 4 Remake next Sunday. So we're gonna have like, since most people in this, most of y'all in the sub channel, you guys all voted you guys mostly voted for me to play it on Sunday. So I'm gonna set it on Sunday, actually. Been hearing RE4 is good. Okay, I'm excited. I'm super excited to play, you guys. I'm very much excited. I'm looking forward to it so much. I got it right here. Right here. I got it like right here, you guys. I'm so excited to play because like I said, I did the demo for fun with you guys and I liked it more than I thought I was gonna like it. I literally just did it just because the demo was free and I didn't know what else to do before Crab Game that day, and I was like, yeah, let's give it a shot. Let's just give it a shot. It was not on the PS5. It was not a. Excuse me. You cannot judge me. You know what? Oh, can I tell y'all? When I went to the GameStop to like get it, he's like, the dude there was like, hey, so, RE4 fan? I'm like, frankly, I don't know what I'm gonna get myself into. I looked at him and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna get myself into. I mean, I kind of do, but I don't know. But he was like, oh, you could trade in your PS4 for a PS5, and I'm like, oh, I can't do that. I'm attached to my PS5. Like, yeah, I want to get my PS4. I want to get a PS5. I do, but I don't want to like trade in my PS4 for a discount. I'm gonna be sad. I went through so many memories with my PS4. I mean, I've only played like a few games with it, but like, listen. The memories, the sentiment. I can't just give it away. I can't just trade it in, even though it'll give me a major discount to get the PS5, but I can't do it. I just can't. That's real. I'm kind of like that. I know. I could be saving myself like a whole lot of money if I traded in. I think, how much of a discount do they even give you though if you trade in your PS4 for a PS5? I'm looking this up. Let me see. GameStop discount for PS5 if you trade in PS4. Let's see. You just get store credit. You just get store credit. That's not worth my time or anything. Wait, anyone saying anything? Trade in your old PS4 for a PS5 bundle at GameStop. Okay. Alright, what happened? So it was offered $299 for a PlayStation 4. Okay, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to find the... Can you, like, get to the point? I hate when they don't get to the point. I just want my answer. Oh. I'd be saving a lot of money, wouldn't I? But I can't. I love my PS4. I love my PS4, y'all. Why did my sub translate PS4 to P is 4? Why? Why would you do that? But yeah. Oh dear. Oh dear indeed. But anyways, I will eventually get a PS5. I'm not in a rush for it, but I know they're like slowly trying to like, slowly trying to like make people eventually transfer over from PS4 to PS5. I know it's gonna happen, and then, but I don't think they're like pushing it really hard either, so I'm not in a rush. I mean, you do a lot with the PS4 too. Like what? Like what, Diddley? What do you mean? What do you mean, other than play games? Also, make sure you drink your water. Like, yeah, like you play a lot of games. Oh, yeah. I don't know, cause I got my PS4 from Luna Papa when I graduated high school. So, it's a big deal. I don't know, it was a big dealio for me, cause that was like the first ever console I had. Other than like a Nintendo Wii or GameCube. Like that's what I had in order. I had GameCube, Nintendo DS, then the Wii, and then I didn't have the time for games in between, and then right after I graduated high school, Luna Papa bought me a PS4 and Persona 5, the game along with it. Dang, I feel old. What was your... Let me see, is your console the... What's it called? The joystick looking one? The SNES? What's it called? I feel Zoomer right now. I am not a child. I am literally a grown-ass adult. I am not a child. The Atari? Oh, god dang! You know, that's so funny. When I asked Luna Papa what game he played when he first came to America, he's like, I played the Atari, and I played Pong. And I played Mario. Like, neither of my parents are gamers, nor really looked into gaming, but like, I find that funny. He's like, I played Atari, and I played Pong. That's what he tells me. That's so funny. The Atari, god dang, y'all are ancient. I started with like it's called the NES, not the SNES. Oh my gosh, the NES. She's so young, she has no idea what an Atari. I was SNES. Oh wait, that is actually a thing. Okay. I know. Okay. The only reason why I know what Atari is because one of my classes, I think it was journalism or something in high school, I forgot which class, but they went into like the very first video game console of that time, which was Atari, and I think the company Atari, and then they had Pong and all that stuff, so like that's the only reason why I knew what it was, because they introduced me to it. There's NES, then came the SNES. Are you the NES, Diddly? You're the NES generation? Yeah, I definitely didn't touch those. Atari was the most mainstream, but technically was not the first. It was not? Well, is it because of marketing that Atari was considered the first? That's what they were telling me in the documentary years ago. NES? Rather, I had one. I was born in 90. Wait, you're not that much older than me. You're not that much older. I mean, I'm like the tail. I am Gen Z, but I am like the beginning of Gen Z. So like, you're not that much. I mean, yeah, you have a gap, but you're not that much older than me. Pretty much. Okay, that makes sense. Marketing, for anything, the marketing is always the thing you need. Atari is early, but not the first. Got you. Gotcha. Ooh. I'm so... The Mario movie, April 5th. I'm so excited. Okay, so I don't go to the theaters often. Like, often at all. But when I go to the Mario movie, I'm gonna cosplay. 100. I think the only reason why I would get out of my house to go watch a movie now is if I'm gonna cosplay and go. If I have like that's like the only reason why I like go to the theaters now. Atari is early, but not first. Oh yeah, you already read that, I think. I don't know if I already read that, but yes. Mario on my birthday. Wait, you're an April baby? Excuse me, Bossatai. This whole time we share the same birthday month, and you never told me. Bossatai, how could you never tell me? You're an Aries. Ew, I hate y'all! You did tell me? You did? You did tell me? Actually, I lied. I actually remembered, because I would never forget a fellow April baby, because I love April. A ways back, yes. Yeah, I totally knew. Yeah, I would never forget. Bossatai, come on, fellow April babies. I would never lie. Luna the Bonbon would never lie to y'all, alright? I am very honest. A very honest moon fairy. Never lie, never cheats. Everything. 100%. But, wow. You know, I really hate Aries. You know why I hate Aries people? I hate Aries people because y'all are like #1 on the astrology chart. And you know who's #2 on the astrology chart? Me! Taurus! And you know what pisses me off? Finding out that Bosstatai's an Aries. That irks me even more. Or that grinds my gears even more. Knowing that Bossatai is a freaking Aries. Somehow that pisses me off even more. Couldn't measure with that long ass nose you got. Excuse me! I got a nice nose. I get compliments for that nose. Hey Lan! Hey Lance, welcome in. How's your Sunday, by the way? We're just memeing for a little bit before we start, but I hope your Sundays are pretty well. Why you gotta be mad? It's only in astral signs. Still, something about it just irks me, Basatai. The fact that you are an Aries. Not bad. And yours? I'm a little sleepy. Oh yeah, I can tell you about my day actually. Since you asked, Lance, I didn't even mention. I woke up. I took melatonin last night, right? I took it. And I thought, like, if I take it, I'll wake up around, like, 9:30, so I'll be okay, right? Thoughts on Geminis? I love you. I know everyone hates Geminis. I know everyone hates them, but I love y'all, alright? Y'all are actually everywhere. Like, I don't know why, but there's so many Gemini babies. I remember, like, in high school, I just knew, like, every other person was a freaking Gemini, and I was like, what the hell? What the heck? Y'all, I think the best way to describe Geminis is like, y'all are kind of weird souls that kind of go with the flow. I have a close Gemini friend. If you've probably seen her hop on my streams time to time. Her name's Melon, and she's one of my friends I've known for 10 years, and she's a Gemini. And yeah, y'all are just kind of weird, but I love y'all's weirdness. Does that make sense? But yes, I was saying, I took melatonin. I thought I'll wake up at 9 a.m. or so, which would fix my sleep schedule again. I was like, oh, okay, I'll be okay. And then it woke me up at like 7:30. And I was like, oh no, I don't feel awake if I wake up this early. I never feel awake when I wake up this early. So I woke up, I ate cereal, and then I just sat there. I sat here, like in my chair, looking at my screen. And I edited like just a little bit, but I was exhausted while editing. So I was like, yeah, I can't keep my eyes open anymore. So I went back to bed, took a nap, 4 p.m. And then an hour later, I was like, ah, shoot, I gotta get ready for stream now. I hate when that happens, because I feel like most of my day I could have done something more productive. It pisses me off. And not doing anything like productive always pisses me off. I want some kind of work or deadline done in a day for me. That's how I am. Yeah, that's accurate. Hey, I love you weirdos though, Lance. I love y'all. I don't like Aries though, especially Basatai because he's an Aries. I really don't like it. But yes, and you, wanna know a fun fact? People, did you know there's like a quote unquote rank? I'm gonna gas myself up, but you know what? I'll do it. I'll do it anyways, whatever. They say there's like certain months that like you get the prettiest people, and apparently #1 on the chart with the prettiest people is April. Apparently April babies are the prettiest babies. Just a little thing I was looking up, but yeah. But yes. I love April people. I don't know why. I love being a Taurus. Oh shoot, I love being a Taurus. I love being born in April. Hold on. Hey XPV, welcome in. We're just chit-chatting before we start. Today's more of like a casual stream for me. I kind of wanted like a little more like chill times before next week. Cause next week, I'll tell y'all, I can't spoil too much of what I'm working on, but next week is gonna be focused more on recording and editing, and it's only gonna be 2 streams next week, just like this week. I want to stream one more day, but I'm like, there's nothing really for me to focus on. Even Omori, I thought of doing Omori on Thursdays, but then I was like, maybe I could do the rest off stream, because I'm trying to catch up a lot on YouTube stuff right now. Yeah, there's just so many things I'm working on, y'all. But I appreciate y'all for just joining me, whatever streams I do have. But yeah, that's an effing lie, Basatai. I'm sure you're beautiful. If you're what matters is if you're beautiful in the heart. But me in comparison to you, Basatai, I'm both. I'm kidding. I'm just bullying Basatai. I'm just really mean to him. What up, Rad? That's cool. You call him Rad. I've been calling him XPV. Rad sounds cooler. If I'm beautiful, then a hippo's back. And is a work of art. You know, you're really creative with words. I never would have thought of something like that. A hippo's back and is a work of art. Like, that wouldn't have ever come to my head. That analogy would have never come to my head, ever. But look, that's talent, Basatai. Maybe you're really poetic. Your beauty is within words. CCCC. Not everyone could do that. So you gotta give yourself points, Masatai. Not everyone can be really fancy with words like that. That wasn't really fancy, but it can be poetic depending on how you interpret it. But I was gonna say something and then I forgot. Oh, right. So next week, I'm recording something new for YouTube. I think my YouTube has just been focused more on nostalgic games, and honestly, I'm gonna beat up Masatai. XPV, can you? Diddley can do it too. Can you ban Masatai? He's no longer allowed. He's no longer allowed on the stream. I'm really thirsty. It's because they also ate dinner before. Wait, where's my not? Hey! No violencia here. Wait, what? Diddley, I didn't give you mod privileges to get violent. Diddley, please. Diddley, no. Also, Diddley is a mod. Oh, he's been helping me out with my FF10-2 streams, but I'm also gonna bonk him because he also gets really excited when I play FF10-2. I appreciate your excitement, Diddley, but I also appreciate if you also don't tell me anything, or Luna might do something. Luna might seep into your walls, crawl under your bed, and creep you out at night. just a little thing. I'll be good, I swear. Good, Diddley. I almost had to go to extreme measures. Bands of real life. Bands of real life feel like. But anyways, so today chill stream, we'll go through Endwalker Hildy. Monday, Luna's gonna be recording something for YouTube. Tuesday, I might do a photo shoot because apparently, I just found out, but I was walking in the park behind my house. I usually, almost every day, I go and exercise because I have a gym. I have a local gym, and I go run around, and then after running around, I go just work out a little bit, right? And so, yesterday, I was just going through my normal walk, and there's just people. People in nice outfits and like professional photographers. I'm like, what is going on? I walk here like every day. What is happening? And turns out, apparently only for 2 weeks, bluebonnets bloom in around that area specifically. I didn't know about this. Maybe I was never around because I was in school. But apparently around this time, only for 2 weeks, bluebonnets will bloom. So I was thinking, might as well take advantage of it and do a photo shoot when I can. And I might do my spring dress loony and have a photo shoot of that. We'll see. But I'm thinking of doing like, if you've seen my spring dress outfit of my cat girl, I wore it during the raids when we did the raids together for stream. The Euphrosyne raids, and I've been meaning to do a photo shoot for it for the longest time. So I was like, okay, maybe I could take advantage of it. I thought of doing like a cute little picnic or something. Sounds fancy. I'm hoping. Fingers crossed it works. If not, I'll find something else to do. But yeah, that Makima cosplays are acting different. Hey, you wanna know a fun fact about Makima? You wanna know a fun fact? We're both, do you guys know about the personality types like ENFJs, INTPs, INFJs, all that stuff, right? Do you know that? The MBT personality type chart. So, fun fact. Makima is an ENFJ like me. Luna is the ENFJ. Let me share. If you guys don't know what it is, let me show y'all. By the way, this is not stuff that you're supposed to take super seriously. It's more like I'm bored. Let's just look at something for fun. Same as horoscopes. Don't take them extremely seriously. I know I talk about them. That's just because I love talking about people and relating to people and stuff like that. So that's why I like talking about horoscopes and personality types. But don't take them too seriously, okay? Just like do them for fun and then go on with your life. Hold on. Where is it? No, I can't. Let me find it. Da, 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 da. Let me see if I can get an image. That's Yuna. Okay, let's replace that. So, this is mine. I am a ENFJ. Right here. That is mine. I am the ENFJ. And Makima apparently is also ENFJ, and I'm like, perfect. Perfect. It fits. It fits. I think out of Chainsaw Man characters, the only one I was actually more interested in cosplaying was Makima from the very start. And I like her for different I can't believe Luna has MC syndrome. I thought it was obvious that I have MC syndrome. I thought I made it very obvious that I very much have MC syndrome. I don't even hide the fact. I don't hide it whatsoever. I just have MC syndrome. Well, there are times where I like other characters more than the MC, but like for the most part, the characters that like I resonate with the most happen to be MCs. Like, for example, who do I like? I like Sora from Kingdom Hearts. Oh yeah, the character that I believe that I relate to the most more than any character in the world. Any character in the world. It's Sora. It's Sora from Kingdom Hearts. I've never related to a character so hard in my life. There's been no character from any game or any anime that I have related to than Sora. He's my boy. I love Sora so much. And then what else? After Sora, the characters that I also relate with would have to be Luffy from One Piece. I also love Luffy. He's a tourist just like me. He's a tourist too. And then what else? There's one more. Oh, this one's an older anime. This one is, it's more cozy, not much like heroic shonen like them. It's the one character that I always felt like was my spirit animal is Yui from K-On! I don't know if you guys ever grew up with K-On! It's really cute, fluffy, slice of life. It's just girls being girls. And they just hang out and have fun. And I always loved Yui from K-On! She was the reason why I cut my hair short in middle school. And she was the reason why I started playing the guitar. I unfortunately stopped my freshman year in high school due to time, but I was like really invested in learning guitar, and I was pretty decent at that time. Now I would have to like practice it all over again, but you know, good memories, good memories. I can't believe, is it the Airhead energy exhibit? No. More than just an airhead loving baby, okay? I love Sora. I mean, I hyper-analyze him like crazy because I love him that much. But he's just someone that I just feel like I share a lot of personality traits with. Yes, maybe I could be smooth-brained at times. I'm not always smooth-brained, I think, for the most part. But anyways, I just think he and I are very similar. And I very much love him. I feel like the character I probably relate to the most is Yato from Naruto. Yato! Are you, wait, XPB, well, you're a Scorpio though. I know you told me recently, XPB. You're a Scorpio. I love Scorpios, by the way. Because I told you, I was talking to XPB because we were just sharing story stuff on Insta. And, well, I like Scorpios, and Scorpios and Geminis are like the most hated signs of the chart. But I always liked Scorpios. Because I felt like, because they're like sister signs of Tauruses. They're like the other side of the coin. They're like Taurus but flipped. So I always felt like I got my Scorpio friends, and I love my Scorpios. Definitely Yamcha. Oh, that fits you. Busta, you're definitely Yamcha. I can see it. I can feel it in my bones that you're Yamcha. I didn't even watch Dragon Ball Z that much. I just know that you're Yamcha. I can feel it in my bones. Yeah, I'm really thirsty. I had my dinner early, so it was a little spicy and salty, so that's why I'm drinking a lot of water. You're Launch from who's Launch? Hold on, I'm gonna look up Launch. Let me find it. I'm glad you didn't say Goku, because I don't want to be like Goku. Who the heck is Launch? Who the heck is she? Is she the blue hair one or the blonde one? I can't tell. Hold on, let me save that. Nah, I'd be Chi-Chi. I'd be No, actually, I take it back. I'd be Bulma because I like Vegeta. I don't care about Goku. There's a saying apparently guys like Goku and girls like Vegeta, and I think it's true because I would pick Vegeta in a heartbeat. I would pick Vegeta in a heartbeat, alright? Wait, where's the girlies? No, I'm trying to find the picture. Wait, they're the same person? Oh, I see. Wait, I can see that. Actually, that's a good pick. Wait, is this... Wait, hold on. I'm trying to get the image. Give me 1 second. I don't want to get fan... Oh, this is from the anime. Okay, let me get it. Bro, where's the picture? I'm gonna eat your ass, I swear. Hold on, stupid PC. Give me the picture. Oh my god, I swear. I hate when I have to convert it so I could change it to an image and I didn't say that. Actually, I don't really care that I said that. I'm literally talking to a PC, so it doesn't matter. There you go. Okay, there you go. Shoot, it's big. Eh. PC has feelings too. Is this her? It's her, right? Okay, let me make it smaller. Tattle, welcome in. We're just chit-chatting for a little bit, but hi, how's your Sunday? How is your Sunday? Blue hair does timid launch. If she sneezes, she goes blonde. Hell am I like this. I actually like this. I very much relate to this. I too have a switch that could make me go super violent and want to beat you up. Actually, I'm always Violencia. Deep inside, Luna just wants to go ape shit. Deep inside my heart, I'm just gonna go. I really want to go ape shit. But yeah, blue is timid and nice launch. Blonde is a violent launch. Blonde had the hots for Tien. Which one was Tien again? Is that the guy with the eye? That's the bald guy with the eye, is it? Is that him? Is that the dude? Yeah, I'm just definitely give it the take it away character. Toriyama literally forgot about Lodge. She's cute though. A shame they forgot about her. A shame. She looks cute. I like her design. She at least looks different from Bulma. By the way, I thought Bulma had like 3 different siblings because she changed her look like almost every arc. So I legit straight up thought she had like different siblings or something. Like she had like 3 other sisters or something. Oh god, let me turn off my Udi thing because it's been going on. Hold on. I'm not wearing my Udi right now, so I'm gonna turn off that Udi thing. Wait, Bulma has a sister? She does? Does she have like same color but straight long hair? Like shoulder length hair? Okay, I think I know her. She's like really airheaded. But I like Bulma. Bulma's a baddie, alright? I like Bulma. There we go, I'm turning off my Udi notifs. Okay. I don't have to get a pick up of Bulma. I personally like Bulma a lot. Bulma's sister's a blonde with short hair? Oh, no. Isn't that Android 18? Oh my god. I forgot about Android 18. Okay, I know my personality is nothing like hers, so I know I can never be her. Hold on. Hold on. But I loved Android 18. And in fact, I think I had a crush on Trunks. I only ever watched that Cell arc growing up. Hold on, I need to find an image of her. God, wait, I need to get Android 18 and Trunks. They look alike. They look like they could be siblings, more than her actual sibling. More than her actual sibling, Trunks looks like he could be her sibling. I think I had a crush on, oh, sent a link to her page. Tights is her name. Tights? Of course they'd be named Tights. Why wouldn't her name be Tights? the whole family's named after undies. Hey, Dirt Pal, welcome in. How was your Sunday? Okay, hold on. I'm getting the image. Hi, we're just talking about random things. Well, yeah, Breeve's family. Isn't their daughter named Bra? Isn't Bulma and Vegeta's daughter named literally Bra? That's literally her name. TBH would rather be called Tights than Bloomers. Oh, is it Bloomer? Her name is Bloomer, right? Yep. No, it is Bra. Why did he name them that? Vegeta's like Vegetable Man. Look, they're so cool. I always thought Android 18 was super cool. I think, cause as a kid, so the time when I actually like watched Dragon Ball Z for like a short period of my time, it was during the Cell arc, and I would watch it with my brothers, my cousins. I call them brothers, alright? And they were really into like Dragon Ball Z, right? Because it would play in India, and so the whole summer we would just watch it together. And I just remember watching specifically the part where Android 18 comes in, and I was like, oh my god, girl fighter? Girl fighter? She's so cool! Yeah, I had a crush on her and Trunks at the same time. And look, don't they look like siblings? All three of them look like siblings. They literally look like siblings. All the scenes are named after vegetables. Is there a reason why? The heck is Goku then? Goku, what? Not seeing it. Really? Apparently, it's a long-running joke. Yeah, because like apparently Goku is Kakarot. Okay. I was like Goku. That's fair. And yes, Toriyama's like in his 60s right now. Honestly, just let the man live, I guess, at this point. Ginyu Force was named after dairy products. What Ginyu Force? I've never seen Ginyu Force or heard of Ginyu Force. Are you sure you're not thinking of Trunks? They literally have the same hair part. The same, like, hair. He could literally be their third sibling. I could see it. And maybe not this outfit. Well, Trunks used to have long hair, right? I think he looked really close to her when he had like shoulder-length hair. But anyways, enough Dragon Ball Z talk. Let me switch screens. We got so into the Dragon Ball Z. Okay, I'm sitting back a little. Oof. There we go. I'm pulling my Wait, no, it's falling again. Oh shoot. I fucked up. I make fucked up. Of course I would make fuck up. I always make fuck up. I make fucked up. Oh shit. Oh dang it. Hold on. Oh god. God dang it. My mic stand. Hey, I didn't make fuck up. It was a joke. Luna never make fucks up. I never make fuck up. Okay. Anyways, I'm gonna push this a little. Don't fall. Don't freaking fall. I'm gonna break you. Okay. Okay, anyways, it's time. It's time for Hildibrand. Let me close my Google like Chrome so it doesn't break my PC and make it go. Okay. Oh yeah, you sent me something about Ty? Oh, you sent me okay, I've never seen tights in my life, actually. Yeah, I've never seen her in my life. Okay. But everyone ready? Oh, by the way, did a lot of y'all already run through the Hildy for this? Oh, Buster's gone! He was dead behind me earlier. Oh, there he is. Bro, why weren't you dead behind me? He's lame. Have you seen anyone more lame in your life? It's him, right here. Stanky. Stanky. Okay, anyways. The queen is here. The queen is here. I'm not up to the newest, I think, but I got pretty far. I don't know, I think I'm not. We're probably only gonna do one of them, and then next time we'll do the newest, because I definitely haven't done a good month's worth of Endwalker. I did like the Shadowbringers one, and then that's it. I'm caught up. Okay. Miss Nashu Makaraka. Lunar Conspiracy. Nashu Makaraka awaits your approach like a butterfly poised to set off a hurricane. Lunella, I have a new lead, and just as I promised, you're the first to know. Before we get into the details, though, I should give you back your soul container. My soul container. I gave it a good scrub first, of course. Being the gentleman that he is, I'm sure the inspector wouldn't want to leave any lingering spiritual odors. There, now you can listen to my findings without having distracting thoughts like, when Nashu's going to give me back my soul container. I actually never had that thought ever in my life, Miss Nashu. In fact, I kind of forgot that, well, I forgot the reasoning to why you had it in the first place. Now, as for the lead I mentioned, I was thumbing through a periodical and found an article on alien abduction. Oh yeah, Hildy got it. I love the ending of that Hildy chapter. The way it was described is almost exactly like what happened to the inspector. It had even had a little diagram of a man swimming in midair. Anyway, the author seemed convinced that the victim had been taken to the moon. This crackpot theory sounds awfully familiar. What does it sound like? Kind of rubbish. The Thavnarian Truth publishes. Dang, I don't know what the Thavnarian Truth is, but this crackpot theory sounds familiar to me. That's because it is. You remember Dorian, the editor-in-briefs? He was the one who wrote it. Wait, I don't remember Dorian. Any plans of doing research for the next edition of the moon itself? Apparently there's a portal or something in Garlemald that will take you straight there. Oh, but a world-hopping adventurer like you must have been to the moon already. Know it like the back of your hand, I bet. Yes, actually. So much has happened in Endwalker. A lot has happened in Endwalker. I thought so. It'd be nice to have an expert guide up there to help me search for clues. What say you? To the moon, Nashu! To the moon! Right, I'll start packing my bags. I don't know what the weather's like on the moon, but I remember Garlemald being a bit chilly the last time I was there. Oh, Miss Nashu. Wait, Miss Nashu. Quite frankly, I don't think you need to pack anything. Miss Nashu. Oh, Miss Nashu. I miss Miss Nashu very much. Hey, she has the same hair as me. What? Ah! My sister! My twin! Yo! Oh, she got scared. I think she got scared. She got a little bit scared, but that's okay. Yo! But funny thing is, I actually found a doppelganger of Looney, except she had my old hairstyle. I used to have like the bangs long hairstyle on Looney, like when she was running through Heavensward, and I literally saw her wear like the 6.1 outfit, the adventure outfit that Totano gives you, and that hair, and she had the exact same face, and I was like, holy heck! Oh, but anyways, we gotta go to Camp Broken Glass. Oh, and there was another doppelganger even before that, and her name was JoJo, a JoJo reference. That part cracked me up. That part cracked me up so much that her name was JoJo reference. Nashu Makaraka! Oh, you must be chilly. Oh, it's much, much colder than I remembered. I sure hope this lunar gate is close. The Tower of Babel? You mean that big sky spire? Well, we definitely shouldn't get lost on the way there. Let's get moving. Miss Nashu? Oh wait, oh god dang, do I even have fly here? Why is there not a teleport oh, well that one's close, I guess. Let's teleport like halfway. I'm pretty sure maybe I should have like the aetherites all collected here. Here we go. My cocoa bow. Oh, shoot. No, I don't have fly. What aetherite was... Excuse me, what aetherite am I even missing? Well, in the meantime, that just means we have more time to chit-chat and catch up. So with that said, well, that's not it. How was y'all's day so far? Are y'all cozy, by the way? That's important to me. Where is my Aether Currents? Character, Kokobo, Companion. It's this way. Character, Kokobo. No, maybe it's a duty. That's not Aether Currents, Aether Currents. Should it be here somewhere? Aether Currents, Aether Current. Oh, there it is. It's in travel. Okay, so. Where's the Garlemald? Oh, dang, I didn't even touch Garlemald. Aw, shoot. That dude clunky. God dang it. I have everything of Thavnair. I have Mare with the... I have Mare Lamentorium. I have Labyrinthos. Well, I have Elpis. Elpis. Oh my god. I have Elpis. Not much of Thule. Not much of Garlemald. Not much of Labyrinthos. God dang it. I spent the day chilling and then working on a project I've been putting off. Is this a personal project for yourself, XPV? GG with that, by the way. Oh! Nice! Where am I? Where the heck am I? I'm just going places. Can't really see here. Yeah, one for myself and career. Are you enjoying it though, XPV? Oh shoot, I don't know where I'm going. Hiya! Hiya! Look at all these burnt houses. Wow, they had cars here! No way! They actually had cars! Garlic Mold had cars! What? What? Dang. Too bad everything kind of went kaboom and burnt to the ground. Just like my poor boy with the blue hair pronouns. I miss him every day. I miss, what's his face again? I forgot his name, actually. But you know, because he has blue hair and pronouns, and I appreciate him very much. I very much appreciate him. Automated rotor. Eh. Oh. Oh, okay. I thought, because I was a higher level, they weren't gonna attack me, but, I guess that was wrong. Okay. Nashu, how the heck did you get through here? It took a minute, but I'm here now, Nashu. How did you get here safely? You know what? She's Nashu. She can do anything. Miss Makaraka? So, this thing will send us up to the moon, just like that. Courage, Nashu. You've done everything, Nashu. I believe in you. The world is in grave danger, and the people deserve to know. I have to reach the moon so I can expose the truth. A lens arrow? As I've explained to you twice already, I can only allow passage to the authorized travelers, which you are not. Nah, you're with them, aren't you? The aliens have infiltrated every layer of society. I think- oh, wasn't this guy in the other part? Isn't this the guy screaming about, like, aliens, they're real, and he wants to prove it and everything? I think it's him, right? What in the blazes are you talking about? I'm Dalmascan, born and raised. Oh look, it's Dorian, the editor in briefs. That's Delion, editor-in-chief, thank you very much, and you were friends with the abducted, I believe. Lunella, greetings. Are you acquainted with this man by any chance? He exposited in my direction once. No, nor am I affiliated in any way, shape, or form. I don't want to be with him, honestly. I don't want to be paired with this dude. I don't want anything to do with this dude. I wouldn't think so. He doesn't seem the kind of company a hero like you would keep. But Lunella, aren't you forgetting the whole conversation we had with Dorian back at Radzahan? Actually, I did forget. It's been months, Nashu. Lunella, as a Lunella Waka, slayer of gods, savior of Ishgard, liberator of the provinces, stealer of pants. How did I fail to recognize such an unbelievably famous individual? As champion of the people, you have a duty to lead us through this fact-strangling's checkpoint. We cannot let your comrade's abduction go unsolved. He needs you, and the world needs my next article. I guess, I mean... And you believe he was taken to the moon? Well, that certainly sounds like an emergency to me. Your acquaintance here seems sincere in his desire to help, so I will grant him special dispensation to accompany you just this once. You may proceed to the Nethergate. Mysterious forces have thrust us together, although I trust the fates about as much as I trust obviously compromised gate guard, and I will leave no moonstone unturned. The truth is up there. And there begins our Endwalker adventures. We're not Endwalker, our Hildibrand adventures. Miss Makarok. Oh, man. It's still so nice up here. So nice. Wow, 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 wow. Okay, I need some pictures. How you feeling, Delion? Is this it? Are we here? Yeah, I know. Could you believe? Mankind's technology be technologying. And now we can go to the moon with a simple click of a button. Can't you believe, Delion? Alright, Nashu. Oh, the moon is just as white and shiny up close. But not made of cheese! And no sign of Inspector Hildibrand either. So we already arrived. The Empire's technology is more advanced than I feared. Ah, over there, the aliens have built some kind of forward base on the lunar surface. We must sneak in and blow the lid on their invasion plans. Looks like Doran has a lead. Come on, we should follow him. Let's go! Oh, it's Wanderer! Not Wanderer. Watcher. There you go. Aliens! Honest to God, aliens! I never expected them to be so tall or so small and bunny-like. Watcher! Welcome. If I had known that I was receiving so many visitors, I would have sent for more tea. That voice, speaking inside my head. I don't know the words, but their meaning is clear. Are they wielding psychic powers to try and brainwash me? You all right there, friend? Need help with anything in particular? And this one speaks our tongue fluently. Learned it from your Charlian collaborators, I'll wager. Don't you think you'll fool me? What, your adorable bunny nose and silken ears. I'll print the truth before you arrive to beguile my fellow men. You're one of Urianje's friends, aren't you? I'm sure who were what to put such odd ideas in your companion's head, but would you mind settling him straight for me? I'll bonk him. Can I punch him? Loporits are not alien invaders, although their adorableness does not belie their capacity of shenanigans. The Loporits are allies of all mankind, misguided attempts to make us live off carrots alone, notwithstanding. I like the first one more, because they are super cute. I still want a Loporit. I want Puddingway. Puddingway is my Loporit. I claim them. Ugh, they got to you, didn't they? I suppose I shouldn't be surprised. I've heard rumors about the disbanded Scions of Seventh Dawn. The formerly secret society has in truth become all more secret, and that it may pull our leaders' strings from the shadows. Hold it right there, mister. I wouldn't stand here and listen to you slander Lunella about this lovely bunny, or this lovely bunny any longer. You better not libel them neither. We actually came in search of Inspector Hildibrand, a dashing gentleman who we think has been brought here by the shining flying saucer. You wouldn't happen to have seen either of them around here, would you? I am afraid I've seen neither. As long was it my duty to keep watch, but as the need for constant vigilance has since ended, I've grown accustomed to idleness. It's rather refreshing, really. Anyway, perhaps the Loperids may have observed this man or his abductor.
I feel I would have remembered if I had. The others might have seen something, although. Why don't you take a look over to Bestaway's burrow, and you can ask them about it yourself. That sounds like a wonderful idea. Please lead the way. If nothing else, can I eye full of facilities we built for the benefit of mankind should help reassure your suspicious friend there. Dun 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 dun. Let's go.
Okay. Noom time. Okay. You know, there's still that emote from the Loperids I really want. I really want the Loperids, like, little singing pose. The one that go like this. I really want it. I want that one so badly.
I knew it. Seeing the bow in all this magnificence has left your friend speechless.
Good gods.
Miss Makaraka. So many bunnies!
They could build a forward base on the scale. Then what hope does mankind have against them?
Oh, for the love of carrots! This is not military operation. Do you see any cannons or assault craft? We haven't any weaponry at all. Take your time and chat with whoever you like. As for me, I've got perfectly innocuous and not at all nefarious things to do. Bye now! Right then, let's get on with the investigation.
Nashu and Delian are now accompanying me. I do love the tag-alongs. I love the accompanied part of the quest now. Look at that. It does add more to the immersivity. Mommy. 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 Mommy Thamus. Goodbye, Mommy. Oh, cat girl. Interesting. Okay, so we noom in. Oh, we can go here. Oh. Waifu! Waifu! Waifu bait! What are these names? First Mommy Themis, then Waifu bait?
Look, they even have an aetherite here.
An aetherite? A convenient tool for meeting with the Charlian co-conspirators, no doubt. I wanted to tell you aetherites are all Allagan had mentioned, but it was really just one of the many alien technological secrets that received in exchange for their undying loyalty. Link pearls too. Be careful what you say in those private calls. The Charlians are always listening. Wow. Where do we go? Oh, maybe it's up here. Oh wait, no, they're probably around here. Language Loperit.
Oh, I often stretch my legs out under the here. Oh, I often stretch my legs out there here under the stars, but I can't say I notice anything out of the ordinary. Sorry. Not to worry. We'll try our luck elsewhere. Thank you.
Furry-faced liars, a lot of them. They're probably hiding an entire fleet of alien attack craft. Oh, come on. They're just Loperids. They're the cutest little things. They're not that sus. They can be a little sus, but in the cutest way. The wholesome way. Let's keep going together, though. Do 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 do. Oh, what? It's this way? No, it's this way. I think. Oh, no, just kidding, right there. Right here.
Oh, ever since they built their Excitraton 6000, we get all kinds of people around here. Could you describe your missing friend in a bit more detail? Well, he's very gentlemanly and dapper, if you look past the almost certainly tattered state of his clothing. Although their fashion sense can be a bit eccentric, our visiting adventurers are always dressed impeccably. Not to be rude, but I have a feeling your friend would have stood out in that crowd. Dang! He's probably strapped to a table somewhere, even as we speak, enduring unspeakable experiments. Oh. What I've pieced together so far, the giant alien is a master, and all these smaller Xeno bunnies are artificial life forms, and created to serve as minions in these armies. Their harmless appearance is part of strategy. As soon as you let your guard down, snap! They take you down like a pack of tiny herbivore wolves. Dorian has some interesting theories, doesn't he? Being nibbled to death by a mob of cuddly bunnies doesn't sound so a bad way to go.
That is the best way to go. I really want a bunny, though. I know they're, like, high maintenance to take care of, but I considered, like, getting a bunny. I would like a pretty black bunny. I really do. Psycho. That Ray Zero bunny reference? Wait, what Ray Zero? Wait, what? What happened to Ray Zero? I'm scared.
No gentleman is in ragged clothes, I'm afraid, but I did spot an object in flight that I couldn't immediately identify. It was while I was out gathering materials south of Mare Lamentorium. I was presumed it was some Allegan relic or new species of floating jellyfish, and I didn't think too much of it. Core! Now that sounds promising. Thank you for your time.
What is this then? A pod for growing the new Xeno bunnies? They must plan to produce them in millions and overwhelm us with sheer fuzzy numbers. How could I have been so blind? Those aren't ears, they're psychic wave generators. They lure people close to their precious little faces, then bam, brainwashed. I figured it all out, alien scum. And once the world reads my special edition, your dreams of domination will be done for. Ha!
What a strange and oddly aggravating man. Is he a friend of yours, too? He thinks he's a friend to the people, but I don't think any people are his friends.
Listen, if Nasha roasts you, you know you done goofed a bit. If Nasha does not consider you as someone, as a friend, or anyone cool,
that's it. That's it.
The main character got mauled by a whole pack of bunnies. Legit one of the most gruesome scenes. Isn't the whole lore that the MC in Ray Zero continuously is like... He gets yeeted a lot in the series, but he could come back to life because he's in a video game or something? Is that what it is? Dang. That dude must be traumatized though, from all the number of yeets he get.
Right, let's get out there and find that flying object. Do you know which direction is south?
Yes, Nashu, I do. Wait, I'm coming with you! Don't leave me alone with the brainwashing Xeno bunnies. So, search for the alien craft from the vantage point. Okay, where do I teleport? South, hello? Where even? Oh, I'm all the way here. I can fly here at least, but am I? No, stop that. But how far? Oh no, I'm closer from here, I think. Here, Here, let me get out my noble steed. I'm so glad I got him. I remember when I got the pre-order for Endwalker, I thought I wasn't gonna get the horsey because Argos! I thought I wasn't gonna get the horsey because I thought I had to get like the super special edition or something. Argos! Pet the Argos. Argos. Oh, wait. I think it'll take me too far if I ride Argos, though. I think Argos will take me here. No, I wish I could, though. Argos. Be a good boy. I'm so glad they added Doji, Space Doji into this game. Golden Dogo. Almost. He has checkpoints and he will never go past it until he has accomplished whatever objective. Oh. But he gets like yeeted multiple times. Yeah, that still would be terrifying. 5 more levels above is recommended for this fate. What fate? TTV, welcome in! Hi! Okay, let's go. Where you at? Are you in here? Yo, where am I going? Oh, I was gonna go into some void. It is. The main character is literally just multiple breakdowns throughout the series. Oh. I mean, I guess I can't blame him for having those breakdowns. Wait, what the heck? No, stop. No. Where the heck? Where? Oh. But yes, I'm doing well. Thanks for asking, TTV. I hope you're well. I do hope you are well. Search for the flying object. Okay. One of these missions. Nashu! Oh my gosh. Now she's romping around with Argos, already forgetting why she was out here. So cute. DeLeon. DeLeon is searching high and low for any sign of alien vessels, like a true professional. Oh, I didn't mean to press them twice. Can you move? I'm trying to move it. I'm doing fine, just playing Overwatch 2 on the PS5. Oh! Oh! Oi! I can't click it! Oh no! Wait! The thing! Hello? Why can't I click it? No, let me, no! Okay, I got it. I wanted to see what it was carrying, though. Ah, there it is. And there it goes. Come on, we can't let it get away. Oh! We did it, Lunella! We found Inspector! Case closed! Horrendous. Only aliens could subject a man to such callous and physically implausible fate. Oh!
Are my eyes playing tricks on me, or do you see a whole field of planted Hildebrands? He's fine, don't worry about him. Well, well, what a delightful surprise to see you here. Wherever here happens to be. My, what an impressive specimen of gentleman you are, good sir. The same could be said of you, my good man. Yes. Yeah, this is an extemporaneous gentleman's club, if I may be so bold as to join you. What? Hildy? What in the name of the occult is happening here? Where do they all come from? They're phantom Hildebrands created by the refraction of starlight through swamp gas? Could be their Hildibrand clones grown in alien laboratory flesh vats? I'm gonna go with the second because that sounds a little more logical than swamp gas. Imposters, you mean? Don't worry, I know just how to find the real inspector. Ah, yeah, let's freaking go, Manashu! Let's freaking go! Seize this, Nashu! Use your powers of deduction, not destruction! They're also authentic and synchronized. I honestly can't tell the difference. No! Hildy! Come on, Nasha's known for the bombs. Well, look no further, for I am the one and only Hildibrand, agent of inquiry and inspector extraordinaire. The one and only? I believe that would be me, good sir. How odd, I think I will find that I am the original Hildibrand. Oh, I am more than certain that I am the Hildibrand. As am I. Could it be that we are all Hildibrand? How positively marvelous! I propose we celebrate this auspicious moment as only a mob of Mandeville men can. Yo, if I can duplicate, I would have a whole party too. If I had multiple me's that are just like me, it would be a party every day. Nashu, get out your bombs. Get out your bombs, Nashu. What manner of waking nightmare is this? Oh, Nashu. She just vibing. Oh. 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 I love that ending so— wait, where are the multiple versions? Uh-oh. It's so freaking cute! Look at it! It's so freaking cute!
apologies for the confusion, my friends. I assure you that this time you stand in the presence of the inimitable Hildibrand Heliodor Maximilian Mandeville. And this diminutive blue chap here is my new associate, Master Poo Poo. Oh. Oh my god. Another alien species! Of course, you were building a clone army to invade our star, and what we stumbled upon was a field test. I do not believe we had the pleasure, my excitable fellow, but I promise you that the immiscible Master Poo Poo has no desire to wage any clone wars. Then what's this all about? Are you telling me you weren't abducted? Simple misunderstanding.
Poo Poo, he looks like one of those things. Yeah, the Pikmin? I think it's Pikmin, right? I haven't played the game, but I thought the same thing. I thought they looked like a Pikmin.
It's so cute! Oh ho ho! What a charming little rascal you are! An offshoot of the Mandragora family, perchance.
Oh, Poo Poo! Poo 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 Poo! Poo 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 Poo! It's so cute!
Poo Poo! Ah, I see. Pleased to make your acquaintance, Master Poo Poo. Might I inquire as to your current whereabouts? I had but recently reunited with Nashu and Lanella and would greatly appreciate if you could convey me back to my prior location.
Ah! Poo Poo! Oh.
I like the little spaceship. Splendid! Full speed ahead, my dear fellow. Steady now, this is not what I had in mind. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh! Hildy! Oh, Hildy!
My word, you generated a veritable battalon of identical gentlemen. Surely the world could never safely contain so much pure Mandevillian magnificence. Could you perchance reverse the process?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It's reversing the process, all right. The face! The face every time with Manderville.
He's accepted his fate. He's accepted it. Oh gods, no, not like that.
Listen, Poo Poo's way is the right way.
Mummy!
Thanks for the water, TTP. I'm actually out. I just drank the last bits, but I will refill and drink some water for sure, TTP. I will definitely drink water for ya.
That smile, that's just him accepting everything. He knows what's gonna happen. Thus, I've concluded that Master Poo Poo has no grasp of common tongue, and his true intentions, while surely peaceable, remain woefully unclear. It was only through frenzied gestures that I managed to direct him back here and have him clearing up our mandible multiplicity incident.
Boo-boo! I hail! Boo-boo-boo-boo! From a star! Boo-boo! A great distance from here. Boo-boo! I came in search of a friend whose communication halted mid-exploration.
All this way to aid a comrade in distress, you say? The devotion, the determination! Your touching story has sunk its hooks into my heart. Fear not, my blue-haired friend, for I, Hildibrand, agent of inquiry, Inspector Extraordinaire, have attached myself to this case like a stubborn barnacle on a kraken's behind. I swear to you, here and now, I shall scour all of creation, from the deepest pit of the seven hells to a very pinnacle of the heavens, for the missing comrade that you so desperately seek.
The eyes are so freaking scribbly and cute. No!
So wait, which Final Fantasy is Poo Poo from? Poo Poo! Where is he from? I need to know. Oh my god, they're so cute. I want a Poo Poo minion. Poo Poo, Poo Poo, Poo Poo, Poo Poo minion. Poo Poo minion, I need that.
I'm glad you're here to help me ward off any more poo-poo misunderstandings.
So cute, so cute, so cute, so cute, so cute. Poo-poo. A entirely new species of alien. The next issue of The Truth will need to be special double edition.
Mr. Poo-poo's eyes make me feel dizzy, like swells that go round and round and round and around.
Tell me, Lunella, how is it you're able to understand Master Poo-poo's language? The power of the echoes. Ah, you mean persistent repetition. Sounds similar to the mandible art of parley. You're saying you have an extra sensory ability that allows communication with aliens. How fascinating. Yes, most fascinating indeed. Pending mysteries aside, I'm glad indeed to once more be in the company of my faithful assistant and the stalwart contemporary both.
Nice. The imperfect gentleman, unfazed by events that would shatter the mind of a lesser man, Hildibrand stands ready to begin his next case.
So begins the case of the silent correspondent. Not to rain on your parade, but my friend who was somewhere on your star stopped sending me messages. It's not a lot to go on. I spent years investigating the existence of aliens, and recent experiences notwithstanding, they are not that easy to find.
Then you don't know Inspector Hildibrand. He'll solve this case as he solved countless others, with unerring perception of panache.
Ah ha ha! Well said, Nashu. I need but relinquish conscious thought to investigate an instinct, and the clues will flow to me forthwith.
Yes, come on. Come on now. Yes. Lose yourself in the directed current, Inspector.
Ah, you're channeling, aren't you? Contacting higher power to breach the veil of mystery. Another fascinating development.
Ah, there you are. I've been looking all over. I thought you'd like to know that I spotted the chap you were asking about, you know. The well-muscled gentleman with the tattered clothing and dazzling teeth. You mean this gentleman? We found him too. Well, that can't be right. I just saw him north of the Lamatorium and he ran the other way when I called out. I don't understand how he could have arrived before me. I have a feeling, Mr. Bunny, sir, that what you saw was an imposter. Lunella, would you mind asking Mr. Poo-poo if he was growing any more inspectors on the moon? Boo-boo, I only created a single batch, but one did manage to escape the vaporization beam. The individual's behavior was unpredictable, a flaw in the cloning process, I'm afraid.
Well, this won't do at all. We cannot have a flawed inspector running around, besmirching the Mandeville name. Master Poo-Poo, I must ask that we hunt down and liquidate of my other self as soon as possible. Might we delay the search for your comrade until the deed is done?
Poo-Poo, the imperfect clone was of my making. It is only right that I redress my mistake first.
So begins the case of the imposter spectre.
That does sound exciting. If you don't mind me coming along, I can show you the place where I saw the imposter inspector.
Or what if the one with us is the imposter?
Tisk, 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 tisk. Just a guess, though. Who knows? I could be wrong.
He seems like he could be a One Piece character, little Poo-Poo.
Poo-Poo. Oh, wait.
Can I find Argos? I want Argos. Where is Argos? I bet Argos could take me to where I want. I love Argos. Poor thing don't got Vina anymore.
Meow, 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 meow.
Those are enemies, not what I'm looking for. Okay, we can go into the Zodiac pit. I tried though. Ooh, smoky. Yeah, I like the moon area a lot. It's a very calm, vibey place. Where the heck? More smoky. Oh, there they are.
Poo-poo! Poo-poo, my ship matter duplication facility is prone to occasional glitch. I should probably have looked at it.
It's okay, Poo-Poo. All is forgiven because you're cute. I wonder what other nefarious abilities this so-called missable alien is hiding.
It was right around here.
Ah, yes, Nashu. There. Good rest, Nashu. Oh, wait, no. Good rest, Nashu. Good rest, Nashu. I ask me with my little eye, no dashingly effective gentleman.
He can't have made it far on foot. Why don't we try searching the immediate area? Scan the horizon, that kind of thing.
Then I suggest we split up so we can cover more ground. Nashu, Linella, and I will investigate to the west.
Right, I'll take these other two and head to the east.
Splitting the party again, and you're leaving me with the aliens.
Oh, relax, Bright Eyes. We'll have a nice chat. I'll disabuse you all the strange conspirational notions. Oh, and we have to know our new friend here. Ah! Look how Purple runs!
Let's be on our way as well, with Nella in the van, if you please.
Alright, let them accompany me. Let's go! Running with the Hildy squad, let's go. Wait, where are we going? This way? Oh, Kohai! Kohai, hi! Yes, happy Sunday, Kohai! How are you?
Wait, do you play 14, by the way? Because these are major spoilers if you do play 14. Even though I'm running like a side thing right now. Major spoilers, but yes, hi! The cutest Kohai is here. How is your Sunday? I do hope you are well. Oh, we can look here. Oh, you need to get back into it. Lol, it's okay. I mean, if it's super far ahead. Oh, I have to go around. If it's super far ahead, you probably won't get what's going on. I've been chilling. Sunday is the best chill day.
Have you been eating snacks? Treating yourself? Very important, Miss Garnet. The cutest Kohai. But yes, I'm good. I think today's gonna be a short, chill, chit-chatty stream. Or vibe stream, whichever y'all prefer. We're just doing a Hildibrand, Hildibrand's like a fun side quest. Side thing to do. Yes, unhealthy amount of Oreos have been consumed. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I haven't had Oreos in a while, but I do like Oreos. I do like my Oreos. Behold the sublime Mistle. Tis as if the moon herself breathes beneath our feet. Oh, look down there. They have their very own hot spring.
My dear Nashu, what you are observing is no hot spring, but a natural reserve of ceruleum. With such a rich resource at hand, it's no wonder they can afford this palatable residencies.
I'm so glad you're here to educate me, Inspector. I was about to take a quick soak. Oh, look down there. They have the hot spring.
Oh, it's the same thing. Okay.
All right.
So we have to look for clues even so.
But yes, also I like having Oreos. Oreos and milk yogurt. You know what? Senpai, not Senpai, Kohai. Kohai, you're kind of tempting me to go get myself some Oreos because I haven't had them in a while. It's a little tempting, I'm not gonna lie. Do you play this on PC, PS, or PC? PC, I used to be a PS player of this game, but PC has a little more benefits that I enjoy. PC, I don't know, I'm enjoying it a lot more on PC than I did on PS4. It's a lot easier for me to play too. Okay, goldsmith hammer. Corey, the bugs grow big up here, don't they?
This hammer surely cannot be. Nay, it does not bear thinking about. Come along, nothing to see here.
You sure, Hildy? You sure, Hildy? Why didn't you say anything, Hildy? That's a little sus, Hildy. I don't trust that, Hildy. That was a little sus to me. What do you mean nothing to see here? That's plenty to see, Hildy. That's kind of sussy, Hildy. Oh, what the heck? How do I get over? Wait, I can fly. I don't know why I was, like, bothering. Ah, yes. That's a lie. They are definitely not moose. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Moose. Moose monsters. Moose. Moose.
Okay. Sure. Anyways, I play PS5. I was Xbox, but now I'm PS5. I don't play the Xbox much, but I will probably have to use the Xbox when I play, when I eventually stream FF13. I will stream 13, but first we're gonna finish FF10 too, then 13. Another goldsmithing hammer, another killing bow that beseeks unparalleled strength. Oh, it looks like he's yawning. The hammer stuck in his head spoils the effect, though.
He cannot be here. Why would he be here?
That goldsmithing tool, isn't it? It does look awfully familiar. Oh no.
Yet completely unrelated to our case. Moving on, people, moving on.
Oh.
A set of gentlemanly tracks leads northwest. Aha! In the sand, in the snow, or in half an ilm of moon dust, I'd recognize those fancy footprints anywhere. They're a perfect copy of mine. Or a fugitive imposter must be up ahead. I sense a gentlemanly presence. He is close. Very close. No clones in the northeastern quadrant that we could see.
Poo-poo! That's clever, Mr. Poo-poo. Mr. Poo-poo can scout for us from the air.
Aha! I found me! There he is.
Why is he duck facing? Why is he duck facing like that?
Why? Why did I flee?
He seems sad, downcast, very uninspector-like.
A flawed creation. To be sure, such negative emotions would never mar the heart of the true man of a man.
What is happening?
What is happening? The OG! The gentleman of gentlemen! He's here! Praise Thal for his patience. 'Twould seem my beloved Hildy has been awoken from his unnatural slumber. Zaddy gentlemen! Zaddy Hildy! Is this Hildy OP? Abandoning my gentleman comrades to save myself. My pride and worst titles than my maltreated wardrobe.
Poor Godbird. He's missing every shot.
My fatherly love denied. Unthinkable, unless that is not my son.
There he is. It's time. It's time.
Dolly! He got eaten! Holy shit! Holy shit!
Rip Hildy.
Another of me survived. Uh-oh, I didn't read that part. Round and round as fast as I can. I can't slow down. I'm a Manderville man. Mandible dance of the ephemeral twin. Holy heck. No, Pippa! No, Poopa didn't gotta get involved in that. Oh my. What? But I... Now I know I'm dreaming. That can't possibly be real. Whatever just happened so fast that my brain didn't process the bunny dancey. But they were cute. But the bunny dancey.
Ah, that was a little something we were preparing to welcome the people of Atheus. I almost forgot it was still there.
Poo-poo, no! Poo-poo! Zaddy Godbird, thank you!
Thank you!
DJ Interrupter. DJ Interrupter, thank you so much for the follow, lovely light. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for the follow. I don't know if my alert... Did my alert go off, you guys? I hope it went off. My little Sora. But yes, I can't tell sometimes because it wasn't showing up on the stream chat. But yes, welcome in, lovely light. Thank you so much for the follow. It did go off? Thank you. Thank you for checking for me. Thank you, DXPB. Welcome in, lovely light. Welcome in. All the hearts from me to you. Thank you so much for joining. We are currently having a cozy chill stream, so feel free to sit back, chill if you want, lurk, chit-chat, whatever you wish to do. You're free to just do whatever. Thank you so much. DJ Interrupter. I hope I'm reading the name right. But yes, new lovely lights, all the hearts for you.
The barrage appears to have stopped, but just look at all this junk. Please be sure to pick up your litter before you leave. The moon belongs to everyone, you know.
Oh. Oh. Bye-bye, other Hildy. Hildibrand, Heliodor, Maximilian Manuel, how glad am I to see you up and about. Your mother will be beside herself with joy. Appreciate that. Vanakkam, by the way. Oh, are you Tamil? If you don't mind me asking. I'm not Tamil, but I do know what Vanika means, of course. I'm Telugu.
But yes, are you Tamil? Wanna come back to you. Who loves ice cream? If you do, what's your favorite flavor? I prefer... Well, I don't eat ice cream. I don't eat ice cream much. It's not my go-to dessert. But if I were, I would go for the vanilla bean, like really good creamy vanilla bean, and I would have it with like chocolate lava cake. One of my favorite desserts. Like chocolate brownie, like with milky lava, oof, with like cold vanilla bean ice cream. That's my favorite combo. But if I really want to eat ice cream by itself, I'd go for cookie dough. Yeah, those are my favorites. What about yours, TTV? Anyone else in chat who want to answer that question? Yeah, are you a Tamil? Let's go. I got a lot of Tamil close friends, so welcome. Okay, let's go.
I only stand before you now thanks to Nashu, who stood ever vigilant as my bedside, and to the Nulla who ferried my soul back from across the rift. My son is indeed blessed with comrades' quality. You have my heartfelt gratitude.
Vanilla chocolate birthday cake. Ooh, birthday cake too is a good one. I don't have that one often at all. Birthday cake is so good. Looking forward. Oh, looking forward. I got you. Got him. Cookie dough or oatmeal cream pie are my go. Oatmeal cream pie? I've never heard of that one. That's a new one, XPV. Okay. Oatmeal. Okay, I've never heard of that one. Ooh, I do like oatmeal. But I eat oatmeal the way that people are gonna make fun of me for. I eat oatmeal. It's cause my parents didn't tell me how to eat oatmeal and no one stopped me. So like, I pour more milk in my oatmeal and I have it like regular cereal. And I warm it up, of course. So like, yeah, I have oatmeal like as hot cereal. But I know oatmeal's supposed to be like thick. But I don't like the texture of oatmeal when it's thick like that. So I can't have oatmeal any other way. It has to be milky for me. Maybe black truffle with the raspberry. Oh, black chocolate raspberry. Yo. Okay, yum. All right. It's a new flavor. It's basically vanilla mixed with Little Debbie oatmeal cream pies. Little Debbie. Wow. Milky, thick cereal. It's not even thick. It's just cereal. I don't know. I like my oatmeal like that. My maple and brown sugar. My son is indeed blessed with comrades of quality. You have my heartfelt gratitude. To you, Master Poo-Poo, I extend my apologies, and in my excitement, I fear I've broken your starship. If there is aught I could do to help effect repairs, you have only to ask. Poo-Poo! My vessel experienced a temporary malfunction, but there is no major structural damage.
It brings me relief and joy to hear it. Ahem. Might I have a word, Vanilla? I'd actually come to the moon in search of a certain rare ore, and by Thal's good graces, my quest has been successful. The ore, however, is but the first step of any longer saga. Meet me back in Radzahan, and I will explain the role I wish you to play. Oh, we're helping Sir Zaddy Godbert this time. Yes, I think it's best we make the journey starwards. We will not find Master Poo-Poo's friend from up here unless someone packed an extremely officious spyglass. Anybody? No? Then home it is.
Dolian?
For years I chased for the supernatural and inexplicable, but to encounter so much of it in such a short span of time, my mind still reels from the implications. Yet I must keep my gaze focused beyond the veil. A chance like this comes only once in a lifetime. I'm still confused about the random face carving into the moon and the bunnies. That's so random, but so cute.
Oh, thanks for the stretch. Let's go. Everyone do stretchies together. Stretchies! Ah! Thank you, thank you.
Alrighty, so back to Le Rod Zahan. Oh, how lovely the backless star, my birth. Father did not tarry to the chat, but had something about returning here with trusted employee. Well, we've no time to further familiar pleasantries. Nashu and I must devote all our mental energies to the case of the silent correspondent. My keen inspector sense impels me to begin our search in that direction. Make haste, my companions, for justice waits for no man, even no one who is little and blue.
Inspector, wait! Can't justice make an exception for me?
His channeling appears to be remarkably effective. Fascinating. Yes, most fascinating indeed. Lunella, forgive me. I seem to have been laboring under a misconception. After spending some time with the Xenobunnies, it has become clear to me that they have not the slightest intention of invading our star. They are no threat to us. But he is! You know whom I speak. That devious Master Poo-Poo and his diabolical devices, devised solely for world domination. I shall have to investigate him further to learn the intricacies of his plans, but I may require your aid, not to mention your interpretation. I'll pay you a retainer fee, so please, when the time comes, join me on my quest for the truth. Oh. Oh, Lunella. My apologies for the wait. Shall we proceed to business then? The task at hand concerns nothing less than family legacy. The recreation of the historically significant and astronomically magnificent Manderful weapons. They were the designs of a distant ancestor, you see. While the originals have long since vanished, the manual containing of the secrets of their construction survived, a precious heirloom passed down through generations of Mandervilles. Why the sudden passion for weaponsmithing?
Aren't your hammers built for hammering gold?
Isn't that what it's for, Sir Godbird? 'Tis true that a goldsmith I have little occasion for crafting implements of war. Why this project and why now, you may very well ask. Then I shall very well tell you. The tale begins not so long ago. I was here in Radzahan to discuss a deal with an up-and-coming merchant. The matter in question was an acquisition proposal. Alas, the talk soured, so I made preparations to depart. It was then the sky burst into flame. You know all too well what horrors followed. I did my best to defend the citizenry from the beast which spawned, yet I could not save them all. Save far too few.
Ooh, this is them being serious!
Even in a Hildibrand side quest, but you kind of can't blame them, because Endwalker was literally about the world ending, so... In memory of it haunted me, day and night, and I found myself unable to work. But then I heard the news of how you and your companions have ventured forth to banish the evil at its source. You forged on in the face of deepest despair, and it gave me the courage to do the same. I took a good hard look at the looking glass and asked, what can Goblin Manival do to safeguard the people of the star? And thus did I realize that I had both the knowledge and the skill to forge the greatest weapons, and that I might empower the others to protect themselves and their fellow man. So I began going down the list, acquiring the necessary materials with a single-minded purpose. One of these is a good godly chunk of a purest Mandiri ore, a metal found exclusively in meteorites, and that of only rarely. I searched high and low, scouring impact sites concerning the kobolds, all to no avail. Then none was to be found on Heidelin. I set my sights on the moon, where at last I obtained sizable sample. Now I say at last, but the list of materials goes on. If I am to collect the rest of a timely fashion, I must employ the help of a comrade of quality. When you can spare momentum of adventuring or aiding my dear son as inspecting, pray drop a word in the ear of my manservant here. I shall clear my schedule of trivial interruptions, and we can proceed with the recreation and mandible weapon of forthwith.
Alrighty.
Meanwhile, elsewhere in Radzahan. Oh. The Shadow Man makes his return. The black undies, though. Oh, what's this? What's going on here? Those angles, though. Sound the alarm! A prisoner is escaping! What? Oh! Was that the mechanical head from last time? I'm pretty sure. It was from the robot. What is happening? What is this Tom and Jerry kind of humor? Oh yes, let's go! Dun, dun. Far out to this world, on the truth lies the weird and absurd. Here's beloved, second to none. Our ancient inquiry, Hildibrand Manderville. Definitely not an alien clone. Yeah! I love the ending. That was really short. I think you can even finish the next part then. That was super short. Oh, there's two. There's two. Hold on, let's check the time. I'm pretty sure that was super short. That was just 2 hours. I intended for a short stream though, but I can keep going. Why not? See you, space cowboy. Wait, it's this guy. Make it Manderville. You will receive a Manderville weapon for a bard. Please ensure you have changed your desired job before speaking with the house of. No way! Hold on. I will take it as a bard for sure, but make it Manderville. Wait, hold on. Let me decline this. So we have Godbird's questline and we have this one. Do you guys recommend we do the Godbird one first and then the next Hildibrand, or it doesn't matter if I just finish the Hildibrand first and come back to this later? Does it matter which one we do? I think I want to continue some more, and if I do, I need to refill my water first. Shouldn't matter. Shouldn't matter. Are they like two different storylines? It's kind of low-key. Because one's focused more on Godbert and the other one continues on Hildy. Okay. Ooh, this one gives you a weapon though. That's cool. Okay. Yeah. Since that was really short, so we'll continue on the Hildy and the next Hildy then. 1 for the weapon, 2 for the show, 3 for the memories, 4 for the floor. Wait, what? 1 for the weapon, 2 for the show, 3 for the memories. Where's the 3 and 4 come from? I'm joking. Okay, I was like, what? What? Okay. BRB, quick little break. Looney's gonna vibe. Yeah, quick little break, and then I'm just gonna get some water, and then we'll just do some more Hildy. I think I'll come back to the Godbird quest later. So yeah, everyone make sure you hydrate, walk around, stretchy, do what you gotta do, but we'll play some more. So where's the BRB screen? Do I eat the soup or? Okay, I already read this. No, stop it, I don't wanna read this anymore. Stop it! It keeps looping. Oh. Basil?
I didn't expect to see you in here.
Well, you kept staring at me, not having a conversation, so I was about to totally not do anything to your granny. With my knife.
Is everything okay with you?
I don't know, is everything okay with you? Hashtag be like Basil. Please, can we throw in all the hashtags in the chat before we continue whatever the heck is gonna go on here? Hero the Rizzler, heck yeah, heck yeah. Be like Kel. Don't be like Polly. Don't be like Polly. Oh, they're so freaking cute. I love this skirt. Why am I already attached to these guys?
Are you ready to put back the photos, Emery?
Big brain.
Good at new. Thank you for helping me put it back together.
Oh. What's this one?
Strange. A photo must have been loose. Huh? What is this? Did I take this photo? Something about it seems...
Oh?
No,
Basil?
that can't be. Mari. Whoa. Hello?
What a tiny doghouse. It goes woof. Is that a snowpuff? Hi. Oh. Oh. It's the greater. Oh.
I thought it would just be you coming, Takamaki-san.
Wouldn't you get nervous too, if it was just the two of us?
We're here to keep an eye on you, so don't try anything perverted, okay?
Stop making such odd assumptions. I have absolutely no interest in her as someone of the opposite sex.
He said it himself, everyone.
Is there a problem?
This is crucial to successful palace infiltration.
I'm gonna skim this because I already know this part. Okay. Oh! Oh! I thought it wasn't too close! I thought it wasn't too close! Amazing start to this palace, everyone! Oh, an even more narrow hallway. I'm still convinced Glaudio's moves would get stuck in here.
Tight squeeze.
Maybe for you. Pretty easy for me, though.
Prompto. Prompto. I know it's gonna be easy for you. No offense, Prompto, but I know it's gonna be easy for you.
Maybe not.
Your mini muffins would easily go through, but Gladio got a double decker. No, he's got a triple layer cake going on there. They'll slip through fine.
Be quiet.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Ignis. Oh, okay. What's Truckum? Ah! No, I like this. So cute. Yes. Yes, I want this one.
What's that look for?
It's an order.
What do you think, Noctis?
What is?
That was too good.
Insomnia Falls. What? This your idea of a joke?
I need you to calm down so I can explain.
I'm as calm as I'm gonna get.
The signing was last night. That
But
insomnia.
the wedding, Altisha.
I know.
I picked the worst timing to
That
wear
was the
this hat.
problem. Yet the reports of the invasion are all the same. How could every headline in the kingdom be wrong?
Lies.
If only.
What else do we know? Well, then we can't be sure until we see it with our own eyes.
Sad noodle.
Yeah.
Bayonetta. Oof. Oof. Me when I see Bayonetta. Oof. Me when I want to see her right now. Oof. Me when I actually see her. Oof. I like how they don't look like your typical. Oh. I think I'm in love with her.
What can I do you for?
What to choose? You knocked?
Knocked?
Knocked.
Gladio.
We'll have 4 burgers, fries, and drinks. And maybe your number while you're at it.
Oh! Wow.
Knocked.
Why'd you snip? Okay. Oh, this haircut. who did this hair? Why you look like Chicken Little?
Alright, I have returned. My water has been refilled. My water is refilled. Okay. Everything all good? Whoa, wait, hold on, I gotta... Okay. We have returned. So I'm gonna talk to Dillian. We'll come back and do the Houseful Manderville manservant later. I don't know if we'll do it within this stream because I don't know how long the quest is, or if I'll just speedrun it off stream. Is there even a story for this? Because I'm more focused on Hildy right now. But yeah, I think this will be, yeah. The Spectacle of Inspection. Delion is ready to embark on another crusade for the truth. Vanilla, what suspiciously auspicious timing. I was just thinking of you and suddenly you appear. As I'm sure you recall, Master Poopoo claimed his purpose coming to our world was to search for a missing comrade. Which is of course merely a cover for his true objective, laying the groundwork for a full-scale invasion. But I understand the skeptical masses will demand proof of the sinister operation. Thus today I decided to bid my time, keeping my eyes open and let these things play out. And no sooner had I resolved to do so, when I received word concerning the inspector. It seems they made progress in tracking down our alien friend's friend. This could be my chance. I say, my chance, but I can hardly understand the stand against this cosmic conspiracy alone. You're coming along, yes? I wouldn't dream of letting you investigate Poo-Poo by yourself. The truth will out, or something truth I just said at very least. I would not let you investigate Poo-Poo by yourself. Then let us be on our way. They were headed to Palikistan, and we don't want to miss out even the smallest development. Okay, so I'll probably do that one later then. To Palikistan! Oh man, I loved, in Endwalker, I love when Radzahan, went sicko mode and then like people were getting yeeted, but the music was so good and I couldn't stop jamming to the music here. Like at all, like it was just so good. Vanilla, you came! The Lunar crew is back together. Oh, I can't talk to Poo-Poo! But I'll pet Poo-Poo. Dang it, I can't even pet Poo-Poo. My loyal associates, come to admire the spectacle of inspection, have you? As well as you should. Look, Master Poo-Poo, Lunella has come to help. Thank you! Lunella, you are too kind. What? No more poo-pooing? No more poo-pooing? It was no great chore to master your tongue. The grammar and syntax is relatively simplistic. Such a terrifying intellect. What hope do we have to prevail against it? So, did you narrow down the search to this particular area exactly? Why, my tried and true Inspector's sense, my dear fellow, all the perceptible and imperceptible signs pointed me in this direction, although they did neglect to include a precise location. For that we must rely on another tried and true inspecting technique. Interrogation. Spread out, everyone, and question the locals on any poo-poo-shaped sightings.
us. Wait, who's that? Wait, who's that? Who just ran with us? Wait.
The Lalafell! The Lalafell! The Lalafell!
Isn't that the Lalafell that's like really into Nashu? Spectre's sense, he says. Clearly he's just following a gut feeling. Unless, could it be that he's in fact channeling a higher power? He's Hildibrand. Of course he's channeling a higher power. Wait, but what was that? That Lalafell that literally went behind Nashu, what the heck? Now that you mention it, I did see something like that in the west of the Shroud. Might have mistaken it for a smaller child if not for the way it moved. Did I refer to Scamper? Creepy. Wait, what? It's not creepy, it's poo-poo. Or it looks like poo-poo probably. But a different color maybe. Oh yes, I spotted just the odd little creature in the jungle. On my way back from the city markets, only it wasn't alone. It was the company of a rather unusual gentleman. Sickly pale he was, and radiated an unpleasant smell. I felt obliged to keep my distance. Junkmonger. I thought that was, I forgot his name. Oh my gosh, I forgot his name. No, the syrup goes over the pancakes.
Any promising leads?
Nothing yet, I think. Lunella, have your investigations borne fruit? Mine own carefully crafted queries place an individual of Master Poo-Poo's proportions in the south of the Shroud. To the west of your sources, say? I asked around, and there have been few sightings in the jungle, somewhat to the north. If you have sightings to the north, south, and west, then it must mean Master Poo-Poo has more friends here than he realized.
I am not that gregarious. I have precisely one friend on this world.
Could it be doppelgangers? No. No, too simple, too obvious. It's more likely the same alien wandering the jungle being spotted in different locations by different eyewitnesses. Which means we need to, can't believe I'm suggesting this, split up and search for the whole area. A fair proposition. Very well then. Oh, are we launching a search party?
Man's legs every single time.
Father, have you been following me? Nothing of the sort. I was engaging in feats physically while my mind grapples with the mysteries of Mandevilian weapon forging, hoping to turn perspiration to inspiration, as it were. But I'm afraid the burning fields of wooden men are poor muses when compared to the stimulus of a worthy opponent provides. Mayhap if I join you in the indomitable Lunella and your endeavor, then mayhap Stance will deliver the challenge I require. You're continuing the case of the silent correspondent, yes? Have you needed an extra pair of eyes? As many as you could spare. I was about to assign teams to the search, as a matter of fact. The village sits into the Shroud's east, and let us divvy up the remaining directions. Shall we? Nashu and I will head south. Lunella and Master Poo-Poo, to the west if you please. DeLorean, you and my father have the north. That's Delion. Also the Shroud of the Samga is awfully big. How are we to keep in contact? Much less coordinate our efforts.
I had a special link pearls made for such an occasion. We can chatter in each other's ears as much as we like.
Are you mad? The Charlings will listen in on everything we're saying.
Really? All the way out here? I shouldn't think the hearing's that good. But seeing as you will mislike link pearls so much, Lord Godbert can hold on to one on your team.
Link pearls, what tremendous foresight! Now let us proceed with our investigation.
Let's go! The inspector wishes to search in the west of the jungle, yes? I will follow your lead! Poo Poo accompany me! Poo Poo accompany me! Poo Poo accompany me! Poo Poo is accompanying me! Look how it's running! Yes! The best thing ever! The best thing added to this, oh my gosh! Okay, where to? I just love how Poo Poo runs so much! I love how it runs! Wait, where are we going? Yeah. Poo. Discuss the river. A river flowing right at our feet. Many stars have I visited in the cosmos, but precious few of such bounty of water as this one. Your home is a rare treasure. Aww. Kinda reminding us to be good to our home, huh? Why you gotta run like that though, Poo Poo? Why you gotta run so cute like that? I see no trace of my comrade. But what of these black fur beings? Are they friends of yours, fellow people of Aether's? Those are a type of Sasquatch, which means no. Where are they? Those things? No. They're vaguely people-shaped, but not people. There's a greater variety of species here than I anticipated. I shall have to collect more samples. Let's keep moving. Oi! Poo Poo run! Poo Poo run! Poo Poo run! Okay. Discuss the rocky outcrops. The rock formations on this island remind me of my home star. They have the same vibrant hues, the same stark beauty. If only. Ahem, but never mind that. We have a friend to find. It's been making squeaky sounds this whole time. Wait. Wait, it's not making it anymore. There it is. No sign of my friend here either. But these white-furred individuals, they surely are one of your civilization races, yes? Those are... where are they? Beast-skin monkey. Also not people. Mind the poop throwing. I find it difficult to tell the difference. One semi-intelligent life form is much the same as the other. Well, never mind. Moving on. I mean, that is, we are derived from monkeys after all. Da-da-dum. Oh, hello! Someone else doing this quest. Are you sensing your friend, Poo Poo? Nothing. Not even a little burnt circle in the grass. The friend I'm looking for. We grew up together. We were always together. We even shared the same dream. To roam the great expanse of the cosmos. We worked hard, supported one another until we both had starships of our very own. Then the universes are ours to explore. How fleeting that feeling of triumph. Ah, but that's another tale entirely. I simply wish to express how dear this friend is to me. Hello, is this thing on? This is Nashu. We think we might have found Pupu's friend. Come to Perusa as quick as you can. Yes, let's take my starship. It's the fastest way. Can I ride with it? Can we see what it's like to ride with Pupu's starship? Meanwhile at Perusa. Oh. Oh, Lord. Oh. Hail, dear comrade and Master Pupu. We come in peace. Pray reveal yourself. Oh. Uh-oh. Oh. Wait, you. You're the Mandragoras? Ugh, I know that gentleman, the Overlord's voice. Who's this? Zombie buddy? Zombie buddy! Master Hildibrand, they said you were trapped in slumber, but I rejoice to see that is no longer the case. Gods, one of the walking dead! Greetings, friends. I'm a proud member of the Gentle Dead Men and disciple of Master Hildibrand. Oh, why is that Dragora crying? Is that a zombie Dragora? What brings you here to Thabnir, and in the company of Lenosha's infamous vegetable menace, no less? Allow me some few precious moments of your lifespan to explain. It was a time when the maggots in my skull grew restless and wrinkly. Tales of spoiled seed can terrorize in the region of Bozja reached our undead fraternity, and so on their behalf I traveled afar to recruit the Rana Mandragora. After making his acquaintance, the festering fellow wished to introduce me to his brethren, who he assured me were no less rotten. Thus did I make next to Lenosha, that I might extend a faith head and friendship. When I arrived, however, I learned that one of their companions had been abducted by a strange flying vessel. What was a gentle dead man to do but to aid in search? I returned to Thabnirian truth, that reliable bastion of supernatural rumor mongering, and lo and behold, that an alien craft matching Seedkin's description had been spotted here on this isle. Needless to say, we embarked on our journey forthwith. Ah, one of our faithful readers. I'm pleased to see that even in undeath, the hunger for truth is not wholly subsumed by the hunger for brains. So we found ourselves in a case of misappropriated Mandragora. This abductor will not evade my powers at this comment. Soon we'll need to carry on all these cases. An abductor? I have a feeling we won't need to look far. Cat! My cat! That's how I was carried! Ah, that may have been me. No, that one looks sad. Tomato Dragora. Oh no, Onion Dragora. No. Forgive me for taking your friend In my sample collecting frenzy, I must have mistaken him for an edible plant of some kind.
Understandable. You would not be the first to confuse a mandragora with the salad ingredient. The main thing is that he is returned to us unharmed and uneaten. All's well that ends well. Now if you'll excuse us, we should be getting back to Thanalan. Rotting flesh and humidity is an unpleasant combination. Aw, you missed your friend, don't you? My apologies, Master Poo-Poo. We seem to have missed the mark this time, but I swear to you, I shall not rest until you are reunited with your comrade. I almost believed your keen inspector sense to be a form of prognostication, but it really was just following your gut, and I'm afraid vague inspectorial feelings will take us only so far. We have an entire world to search. For that we need, oh, I don't know, a veritable army of inspectors.
An army of inspectors. Of course! I can simply clone a multitude of Hildibrands as I did before.
No, let's not do anything rash.
Navi, welcome in! Navi, how's your Sunday? How was your Sunday? Is it chill? You doing good? Please do tell me. We're vibing today. Vibing while playing some more 14 together. But yes, welcome. I need to do a stretchy, by the way. Ooh, I needed that. I need to also drink some more water. Been thirsty all day. Okay. But yes, Navi, I hope you're well. Okay. It's time! Oh dear, the ship's matter duplication facility has been temperamental for a while, and now it's broken down completely. This clone is the last it will ever produce. Oh. Oh. Uh-oh. 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 Rip Rip the temples and rip the Hildies. Lego Hildy? when you don't fully render. Lego Hildy!
The theme song changed though. My name is Brandy Hild. Inspector Brandy Hild, why is he so blocky? The cloning process must have failed partway through. Allow me to euthanize this abnormality. No, let's not do anything rash. Unlike my former replicas, this one is highly likely to be mistaken for me, and seeing as we were looking for the extra helpers, I say we press this undefined fellow into service. Welcome to the team, Inspector Brandy Hild. A pleasure to make your acquaintance. How'd the rock get lifted? Oh god, Birdman probably. Dude, look like an old Sims character. I never played Sims before. Well.
I knew the duplicator had been unstable, but I pushed it to perform anyway. Now look at what I brought. Not only is this clone a poor imitation of the Inspector in form, but in force of personality as well.
Lucky though the Inspector may be, the Master Pooper could so easily attempt to replicate a living, thinking being. Alien technology is so advanced I can scarce differentiate it from magic.
Blocky Brandy Hild.
Oh, never a dull moment around the Mandeville men. Assistance. Please allow me to be of assistance. We made quite a mess of that temple ruin, but thanks to the father, it looks as though as good as new. Or would be as good as old, in any event. I look forward to tackling a reminder of the case with my charming new contemporary. I am delighted to be part of it. Ah, look at him doing the finger thingy. That finger tap thingy. He did the... Oh, look how shy he is. He really is charming. Alright, so Brandy Hild is here. Generational bonding. The unperturbed Hildibrand seeks to resume the search for Poo-Poo's comrade. An unexpected but invaluable addition to our ranks. With our numbers thus bolstered, I say we are ready once more to dive into the fray. Perhaps, but what of a strategy? We need a new approach. If I may. Assuming Master Pooper's acquaintance pilots a craft of similar design, then might we not instead assume to locate the starship? Such a striking vessel will have drawn more attention to the comparatively tiny being in question. He has a point. The Truth receives a large number of reports from the readers, claiming to observe unidentified flying objects. We could have review said reports to those that meet criteria of shiny, silver, and saucer-like. Naturally, then remove instances which you know have been Master Poo-Poo. That should narrow things down considerably. Indeed, what a fantastic idea! Aha! Ha! Just the kind of brilliance one might expect of one's clone. I was about to make the very same suggestion.
Well done, Inspector.
I hope I've not overstepped my I am but a shadow of the original, after all. I have a stack of packages stored in the workroom I use in the city. Poo-Poo can help me sift through them and cross off the sightings that were definitely him, shall we?
Yay! Okay, so speak with Hildibrand and Rod Zahan. I'm gonna go back in here.
More waters. I'm super thirsty today.
Inspector Hildibrand, Inspector Brandahild. What unexpected? Oh my God, is that a tongue twister? Inspector Hildibrand inspected Inspector Brandahild with unexpected introspection. Say that 10 times, huh? Ouch, I think I twisted my tongue. Okay. Okay, at least you're aware, Nashu. Dorian has taken Master Poo-Poo to peruse the store for the past applications. Let us enjoy a brief interlude until they return with the results of their investigation. We finished going through all the back issues. If you discount the areas we know Poo-Poo to have visited, it turns out there was only one other sighting of a flying saucer. In Garlemald. The account itself was sent to me by an Imperial soldier named Numerous, who appears to be a loyal fan of the truth. All the way from the Empire. Your publication has impressively wide readership. Our audience has always been universal. After all, the desire to know the unknown transcends all borders and creeds. The saucer was spotted during the Imperial War of Succession. Beyond that, there were no meaningful details. We must visit the soldier fellow in Garlemald and wring from him the entire tale. I agree. This is our only lead, and we have no choice but to follow up on it. To grab Camp Broken Glass! I'm just here for the ride. I am literally just here for the ride. To Camp Broken Glass. Or, it never gets any warmer here, does it? Everyone present and accounted for. Ah, we appear to be missing Master Delion. My apologies, but I had a hunch that I thought might save us some time. I spoke with some contingent officers, you see, and our Numerius is on the roster of allied Imperial troops. That does certainly make things easier, and were they able to point you in the direction of this numerous chap's posting? Yes. Numerius is currently with his unit, organizing the supply dump at the Four Patterns. We should head over there and hope we can spare a few moments to talk. The chill here seeps right through their bones. How are you all not shivering in that unseasonal attire? Oh ho ho! A mandeville man on a mission feels neither heat nor cold. Not sure how one's frame of mind could overcome the reality of frostbite, but then again, reality always seems relative around the Mandevilles. The Mandevilles are just built different, Delion. At this point, you just gotta know that. They built a little different. Commissary Officer. The commissary officer has her hands full and is in need of extra pair. Wait, that's not. Oh, I don't know why I clicked. Okay, that's a Aetherite quest. Wait, no, I'm gonna talk to Delion. Where is he? Oh my gosh, all the way there. This is what happens when you don't get all the Aether currents, so you can't fly around. You end up like me, a dingbat, who has to suffer. It's still nice here, though. Even though everything's kind of destroyed, it's still kind of peaceful in its own way.
I'm so excited to play RE4 next week. I'm just looking forward to like going through the whole thing in general. Ooh. Ooh. I almost forgot that came out next week. I mean, I got mine. I got mine already, XPV. But still, I'm just looking forward to it. Like, just actually playing it with you guys. And I know for a fact I want to stream it. I don't think I could do it off stream. Just because I'm gonna need the moral support. Just because I know I'm gonna freak out, and having you guys here as moral support's gonna help a bunch. Okay. The torture streams? It's not that bad, but I know I'm still gonna kind of freak out and I'm gonna need breathers in between. Hello, is there a Numerius here? I'm Delion, the editor-in-chief of the Thavnarian Truth. I've come to follow up on your eyewitness account. The editor-in-chief himself. What an honor! I wish there was more to the story, but everything I know was in my submission. I've not left to tell. Unless you've something else to share. Didn't you say you saw the saucer as well? Oh, I did. More than just see it. This is around the time when the fighting with the Nervous faction has escalated to an all-out war. You understand. I've been assigned to the anti-aircraft cannon and was actively surveying for the enemies when the silver vessel flew into view. Some new kind of war machina, I presumed. I opened fire and knocked it out of the sky. Wait, what? Presumed? You mean you never got to look at the wreckage? We were at war. I wasn't about to venture into the battlefield to indulge my curiosity. It's probably still out there somewhere. Oh, poo-poo! We have to find that flying, or should I say fallen, silvery saucer. Do you have any idea where it crashed? Not an exact location, no. Then we'd be best have the god's own luck. Garlemald's capital region encompasses Mom's and Mom's icy wilderness. Yo, I spot that! Yo, the Lalafell! Did you guys catch that? He's in the background. If I may, do you happen to remember the approximate speed and bearing of the saucer? And the position of the firing angle of the cannon? More or less, I think. An artillerist without a header for numbers wouldn't be long for profession. That should be sufficient. Thank you. Oh! I have it. The starship impacted the Earth 1,360 yalms to the northeast of the current location, give or take few yalms. How in the seven hells did you arrive at the conclusion? Elementary algebra. And dear Delion, assuming the aircraft belonged to Master Poo-Poo's comrade, is a similar construction, determining its trajectory is trivial. Ahaha! My brilliant clone! Ladies and gentlemen, I was about to offer the self-same conclusion, but once again, he has beaten me to the punch. Hooray for Inspector Brandyhild! Aha, I seem to have stolen my progenitor's thunder. My apologies! 1,360 or so yalms to the northeast of here. That improves the chances of our search for a near hopeless to rather hopeful. Let's go and find the fallen saucer, shall we? Brandyhill being shy, though. Who's watching other than that Lalafell who stalks Nashu? Who's watching? My guess is it might end up being Hildy's mom again, which, by the way, best character in the Hildibrand series. Hildy's mom is the greatest.
Up and up. Up. And up, oh, and up.
Automated cavalry. Dude, that thing's scary. I don't want to fight that. Do. Wait, why didn't I just teleport?
Oh well, save money. Live better. Walmart. Up and up and up. Okay, almost there. Commissary officer. Wait, that's not my... No, I went the wrong way. I'm so big brain, I went the wrong way. It's because of the other quest I had. Oh, I heard Doge. Doge by Lalafell. That's a smaller Doge. Oh, mine's okay. I don't think we ever went up to this corner before. Like, there was no quest ever requiring me to ever go here. Half-buried pot. Nash taking a nap. Nothing alien to speak of. Somewhere around here. Don't worry, poo-poo. They're there. Scorched metal plating. A scorched and twisted scrap of metal plating, a starship like Poo-Poo's would have been reduced to a similar state when hit by artillery rounds. Oh, what have you found there, Lunilla? An exterior panel. This is from my friend's starship. I'm sure of it. Debris from the crash landing.
I see no other pieces in the immediate vicinity, which means the vessel may have weathered into the barrage or made a good escape. Another possibility is that your comrade recovered most of the wreckage, or some units his known party did. You're saying someone may have made off with our cosmic visitor, saucer and all? I say this is altogether a different kind of alien abduction. Has anyone seen Nashu? Now that you mention it, where is my loyal assistant? Help! You have to help! My beloved Miss Nasha has been kidnapped! They're like, who the heck are you? Some cad claiming to be an agent of Dr. Luga came and took her away. He told me to tell you, and I quote, if you want your precious companion returned alive, then Lunella must present herself at the Tower of Babel, specifically the Magitech servicing facility. And don't forget that part. The gall, the temerity, the audacity, my stalwart aid, my spirited way under my very nose. My apologies, but who are you? A close acquaintance of Nashu, I assume. Me? Oh no, I wish. I mean, I happen to be passing through in this snowfield. I am a snowflake inspector. You see, no two alike and all that. Anyway, enough about me. You need to go and save Miss Nashu. Totally not Miss Nashu Stalker or anything. Totally not. At last, a chance to stretch my legs. What say you, my son? Shall we get this rescue mission underway? Indeed we shall. Off they went. They left without us, even though this doctor fellow asked for you by name. Curious. Oh, it's gonna be a solo. All right, Brandy Hill, let's go. Another abduction. Yet all I could do is wonder who that odd young man was, and why he smelled so strongly of cheese. Forget the missing starship for now. Nosh is in imminent danger. Oh, poo-poo. I've collected the evidence that remained of the crash, but solving this mystery will have to wait. The case of the abducted assistant calls. A solo? Well. Meanwhile, at the Tower of Babel. Wee hee hee. All shall fall before Supre Luge. With this new and improved body, revenge shall finally become mine. Oh my. You will release Nashu this instant. What are you two doing here? I specifically asked for the adventure. Be gone before I unleash my fury prematurely. Oh ho! This promises to be a proper battle. I see no reason to trouble Lunella. We tackle this menace as father and son, the Manderville men, together. Agreed. Bah! I will not waste my appetite for vengeance on side dishes. Hired thugs! Time to earn your pay. We got Robin Hood back there. Oh-ho! A little warm-up before the main event. Get them! No way! No way! No freaking way! No No freaking way! What even is this class? The hammer class? What is this? Is this even a class? This can't even be a class. I can't believe this is just a miserable class. He is the class. Holy heck! What the heck? What the heck? Holy heck, holy heck. You're lucky. User found lacking. Come out and face your fate. Insolent worms. The sun will be the first to die. Oh, wait, hold on. Oops. Sorry, Hildy. Oh my gosh. Whoa! Whoa! I'm sprinting! Whoa! I'm sprinting all right. Holy heck! Uh-oh, Mander, Mendy. That was too close. You survived the missiles, then enjoy some leftover War Machina. Oh. Oh. Okay, well. Oh, God, Bert. I love this class. I think the Godbird class should be a normal class in the game. I highly recommend it. Woo! Okay. There's more. An amusing diversion, but you need to do better than that. My War Machina. If reasonable means fail, then unreasonable measures are called for. Uh-oh. What do I do? Neutralize them? How? Whoa! You stop them all by sidestepping. Very well. It seems I must crush you myself. Boss time!
Round and round we go. Oh, where's it starting? Oh, I have to use the sprint for that. Okay. I see. Jeez, that drop kick though. Oh, Hildy! This is actually really fun to play. I have more surprises. One may shock you. Uh-oh. Oh! A mild tap to improve the circulation? How much that power should have rattled the teeth from his skull? This is Godbert you're talking about, though. Here we go. There we go. You aggravating vermin. My plans are in ruins. You first my hand. I'll bring this place down on your heads. Oh. The doctor leaves himself wide open. Let us seize this advantage. Lemon break. Now's our chance. Yes. Yes. The ultimate limit break. The Mandible Men! Look at him! Graceful! Victorious again! The Mandeville Generational Bonding Overdrive! Things seem to be well in hand. Wee-hee-hee! Don't get ahead of yourself. Oh. There you are, my loathsome nemesis. I saved something special just for you. Oh.
can just freeze time. What the?
Oh my. Oh my. Oh. Rip Hildy. Rip Hildy. Let's go, Looney! I'm glad we actually got to be involved this time. Usually we're kind of there in the background, but I love that we were involved in the shenanigans a bit more. Ah, that was a lovely nap. Oh, did someone build a biotic service facility while I was asleep?
Nicely done, Inspector Brandyhild. Once more, the clone has put the original to shame.
Inspector, please. I am but a pale imitation of your ideal.
Ah, I knew keeping company with the famous Lunella would lead me to a worthy challenge. Worthy of breaking a sweat, at least.
But you done all the work for me. I like how both of them are the same anyways.
Work this? Just a playful skirmish compared to your usual do-or-die dilemmas. The villain is vanquished, and Nashu is returned to us safe and sound. I say we head back to Radzahan to regroup and rethink our position. Your comrade yet lives. Master Poo-Poo, I'm certain of it. Take heart and let us continue the search.
Alrighty.
To Garlemald and back we have journeyed, yet this is the beginning of the case of the silent correspondent. Come, my friends, the shard of the saucer we secured shall lead us onwards to new discoveries.
Wait for me, Inspector. I don't know which way is onwards. I should follow them, shouldn't I? Wait for me.
That bracing melee was just what the Churgan ordered. A spot of exertion to stimulate the mind, and I find myself ready to grapple with the finer points of forging again. Your assistance in this historical production of manual weaponry would be always most welcome. Until our next meeting.
Do. We still don't know who that mystery person is, though.
Thank you for assisting with my investigations, Lunella. Once again, our travels are with rife with inexplicable phenomena, yet I am no closer to exposing Poo-Poo's well-concealed conspiracy.
All's well that ends well, then?
He will slip up one day, though you and I will be there to catch him.
And I think that's the most recent one.
I think so.
I'm assuming they'll add more, maybe for, what, 6.45 maybe or something? Oh, there's more. Meanwhile, somewhere in Thavnair.
Who? Who is this? What? A random aura, dude. You took my coin and yet you failed. What audacity that you should return seeking my Ligris once more. I deserve your scorn, but I promise you, your plans are in danger so long as that tenacious pest yet lives. I know a path to victory, a forbidden path, on which demands the manifestation of the divine. Who is this? You have my attention. What is this? More lore added on to the already... More cases added on to the already case given to us. Do. All the fans and the strange technology. Wait, they change it up every time. Owning yourself can lead to tragedy. But sometimes you get what you don't expect. A plucky man of quality, Inspector Brandy Hild. Flat face for sure, but still sharp as stack. What? GG! Every single, like, section are, like, expansion Hildibrand has their own unique ending, and I loved every single one of them. Yep, that's all of them! Okay. That is all the Hilding. Okay, that was pretty short. I'm glad I did both of them then. They're both done. We're caught up on the Hildies. Probably no 14 until 6.4 is out, that's for sure. But yes. So far the story, if I want to compare it to the other Hildies I ran so far, it's pretty okay. My personal favorite till this day is still the ARR story, and I think it's also the Heavensward one. Because the Heavensward one had like the grandparents, and I thought they were really funny. Or did a Stormblood maybe? Maybe the Stormblood, I forget which one. Whichever one was the one with the old people that wanted to steal from us. I thought that was funny. But yes, I think very fun. It's still pretty good. It's still pretty good, but I think I like the older ones I ran a little more. But it's Hildibrand, and it's still very much the best side quests in this entire game. I'll just chill with this dude here. The House Mandible Manservant. But yes, that is all for stream tonight, you guys. I did expect it to be pretty short. I don't think I had any other game plan. So next week, we'll do some more Final Fantasy X-2, and then we'll also do more. We'll officially start Resident Evil 4 Remake. I am looking forward to playing that with you guys. But yes, that is all. That is all for the day or the night. Thanks for vibing with me, everyone. Whether you're chit-chatting with me or lurking, I appreciate you guys just joining me on the game journey. So let me see who we can raid tonight, by the way. Who shall we raid? Oh, I don't think I raided Illy in a hot minute, and he's currently running through the Iblis raids of 14. I think he's having a lot of fun. He's having a lot of fun going through 14, so yes, we can raid Illy. It's been a hot minute. All right. If you guys like how I stream and you want to know when I go live, oh, that is all caps. And you want to know when I go live, here is my Discord. We are chill here. We like to just hang out, talk about our day, all that stuff, or fandoms, all that stuff. But feel free to join in. Here are my socials. I am the most active on Twitter. It is my most active social media in general. And then TikTok, YouTube is where I make shorts or videos and I post them and share them there. And then, if you want to join in on the raid, feel free to copy and paste this or share good vibes in general. But yes, thank y'all so much for joining. But yeah, and then the reason, next week again, it's only going to be 2 streams. I would love to stream more, but there's a lot of editing I got to catch up on. And there's also just a lot of like things I'm recording to post on YouTube. So I'm working on those right now. At this moment, I am just trying to like balance out both Twitch and YouTube and other social media things to post on. TikTok is kind of whack right now. If you're updated with the TikTok news and what's going on. I'm posting there, but I don't even know if it's still going to be there anymore. But I'll be posting wherever I can, you guys. But yes, make sure you guys hydrate, as always. Props to you, that's so hard to juggle. Well, thank you so much, XPB, for saying that. But yes, I'm doing my best. This moon fairy is always doing her very best. And I hope you guys also do your best. So with that said, ready? As always, whatever it is for you, day or night, make sure you drink your water, take care, and bye-bye! Alrighty, let's play this credit, shall we? Thank you guys so much for watching, supporting this stream as always. Thank you to XP and Diddly for being on, moderating. And thank you to DJ and Interrupter for the follow. Welcome, lovely light. And thank you to every single one of you guys, and one of you lovely lights. Excuse me. And one of you lovely lights for joining me on the Final Fantasy 14 journey or any game journey I go through. Please drink your water and take care. Bye bye!
そろそろしばこの人生できないだなんて言わないでね言わないでね今さらなんて言わないでね僕ら今ささわになって回り始めるだんだんやるなってでも好きになるねじゃあ一体どこに向かえば物語は終わりますか 君と